All right. Well, that last video was the preamble, but now I'm faced the opposite direction on my pillow, and I'm gonna go into what I see as the main point here. Everything else was just working up to this, setting the groundwork, as it were, for what I'm about to say right now. Um, how do I begin? Um, there's a certain kind of credulousness or credulity that seems to attach ironically uh, to some um, truth seekers. That's what I'm going to call us. I'll call us, instead of using the derisive terms like conspiracy theorists and whatever, I'm just going to call us truth seekers because that's what we are. We're after the truth. Um, but there's something, uh, there's an ironic credulity uh, that it's like it's the mirror image of the normie's credulity. The normie's credulity. Again, I use the word normie, uh, you know, not totally seriously because I don't like terms that I don't like saying, oh, you bunch of normies over there. I don't like that kind of looking down on others. Normies or sheeple or whatever. Um, But it is true there are people out there who are just allergic to asking questions, or who just think it's annoying or ridiculous to ask questions. I mean, and it's one thing to just not, if it's not your thing, if it's not what you're into, if you're just, I don't know, busy raising your kids or um, doing whatever it is that you do that you've determined to be your life's work, or your worthwhile endeavors of your life. um, but there are some who just, it's like the whole idea of critical thinking is just, to them, is just annoying, and asking questions is annoying, um, and questioning what we're told is to them is annoying. And, of course, this extends to the media, who vilify so called conspiracy theorists today routinely. It happens all the time. Of course, then we turn out to be right. But, 6 months later, what we're saying turns out to be true, but they never give us any credit. They just go on, you know, like they were going on before. But anyway, I spoke of, in the last video, I spoke of flat Earth, and I spoke of Tartaria, not because I'm staking out a position on either of those two things, but just because I find that there are things that I guess another thing I could talk about is there are people in the truth seeking movement who are very caught up in you know transvestigations, like thinking that these various men in the public eye were really born women who were transitioned, and there are a bunch of women in the public eye who are actually men who were transitioned, and this is all part of a nefarious plan. I don't, and when it comes to you know uh, difficult cases make bad law, as they say, and I'm told I have a friend who went to law school, so that's a phrase that I seem to remember. Um, and if we're going to talk about Michelle Obama, yeah, I understand. Questioning what the deal is there. Um, but these kind of these transvestigation people, they go, like, I've heard people um, say things like, "Oh, Anne Hathaway was obviously a man." Why? Because you see, she's tall and she's broad shouldered. and she doesn't have her breasts aren't that large, and she doesn't really have hips, uh, and so she has the body type of a man, really. And I mean, I look at Anne Hathaway. I don't think, boy, what a masculine looking person. Um, you know, I just think that's just an absurd reason to draw that kind of conclusion. I mean, maybe you start with, there's this gender blurring agenda, which there definitely is, uh, and maybe there's this they want to make people, they want to get pervert men by making them be attracted to women who are actually men, and vice versa. I guess that's part of what it is. I don't know. I just think Anne Hathaway is a beautiful woman. Not that I'm simping or anything. I'm just saying that's my assessment. Um, but maybe she doesn't have. She's not my dream girl or anything. But when I think of her, when I see pictures of her, yeah, she's very pretty. She's beautiful, I think. Um, and so the fact that she doesn't have wider hips and larger breasts, and that her shoulders are more broader than some ladies, than maybe most ladies. Like it's not as though you meet ordinary people, and there's a wide range of you know like you'll meet men in just regular guys, and some of them are shorter, and have wider hips, and fairly large chests, and and whatever, not the squarest jaws ever seen, um, and I don't ever think these guys look like women. No, it's just like there are different types of men and like the masculine qualities, the qualities that we know to be masculine, and the qualities that we know to be feminine. They're not evenly distributed amongst the male population and the female population. So some men have very masculine physical qualities, and others are less, you know, masculine looking. There's not the square of a jaw, um, and maybe not as broad of a shoulder, and what have you. But they're still obviously men. And the same with women. Some women are not. Some women have, like I was saying, have the body dimensions of an Anne Hathaway, uh, but they're still women, and and so I just there's a credulity in just assuming. There's a credulity in just saying the normies feel this way. Here's this other idea that really fucks with the norm. This is going to own the normies good. If we believe this, if we say no, we're not going to buy into your round Earth thing. We've got our flat Earth thing. How about that? How do you like that one? How do you like them apples, normies? And we don't believe that beautiful models and movie stars are women. We think they're actually men, because how do you like that? I mean, I almost think there's almost if they you can go overboard, is what I'm saying. Like, I understand the mentality of, if this is what they tell us in school, if this is what they tell us on the news, if this is the conventional wisdom, then we should believe the opposite, because these people, we know that they lie to us about so many things. So therefore, flat Earth must be true. Tartaria, mud flood stuff must be true. And again, I'm not saying they aren't. Women, female movie stars must be men, and male movie stars must be women. Okay, that last thing I am much more. I think I'm quite skeptical about. I mean, I think there are probably cases of men out there pretending to be women and women out there pretending to be men. And with Michelle Obama, I do think it's very interesting, very strange that her her husband called her Michael one time, and that there's a video of that somewhere. Um, like where what I don't know the circumstances under which you would, if your wife's name is Michelle, why you would call her Michael. I don't that doesn't make sense to me. You I was married to a girl named Jenny, right? I never in my life thought, hey Jerry, or said, hey Jerry, I mean Jenny. That just wouldn't, that would never have occurred to me. So, so that's, anyway, I'm getting closer to my main point here. I think that there are people who just like the guy I talked about, who was just, when I still had normie tier views of 9/11, but I was curious, I was inquisitive, I was interested, and he just treated me as if I was just not at his level yet, because I didn't believe what he believed, rather than engaging with my questions, in a spirit of honesty, um, in a spirit of good faith, which is the way the questions were meant. Um, and I've had this feeling, or it's more than a feeling. I know, like there are those out there who just want to say that every time somebody says or does something that implies that they are on the right side of things, that implies, like, every dissenter, every Hollywood dissenter, everyone in the music business who's a dissenter from the agenda, and who makes their beliefs known. Um, in this case, the person we were talking about yesterday, it was Woody Harrelson. So Woody Harrelson goes on Saturday Night Live, says this thing that's obviously against the pharmaceutical companies, and against the COVID op, against the virus op, against the Baj op, um, and causes a lot of controversy for saying it. Um, and there, you know, you can go back and look at Woody Harrelson over the last 3 years, saying various things like, I think masks are stupid. He said something like that once. He talked about how he thought that the 5G theory of the virus seemed plausible to him. He talked about how he didn't believe in germ theory. He was saying a lot of things, and he was on record saying, I don't believe that we can. He said in an interview with Bill Maher, he says, I don't think that we can trust big government and big pharma. They're not trustworthy. They're in it for profit. They're not out to help people. So my point is, there's lots of precedents of him saying similar stuff as to what he said on SNL the other night. But in this case, and just using his case as an example, there are people who say, well, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't mean anything, uh, because every time he said those other things, he was just reading off of a script. You know, he was just doing what he was told. He's just being controlled opposition. He's just put in this, you know, the 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 overlords have just deemed him to be the controlled opposition, and they say, "Hey, Woody, you be the guy who says this stuff, and play that role for us." And I mean, the annoying thing about that, the annoying thing about, and there's some guy, some fellow truth seeker, again I can't remember his name, who was talking about his thing was lifelong actors, like they're always acting, and so whenever they say something, like if again, it's like anytime there's a person who expresses dissent, uh, you can always just say, oh, well, they were just told to say that. They're just controlled opposition. They're not to be trusted. They're just a part of the whole, the same, this monolith of evil that is, the 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 controllers, the in this case, the people in Hollywood, or in politics, or wherever. I mean, I guess you could say that about, like, people who dissented from the whole lockdown stuff too. I haven't heard anybody do this, but I guess you could say, oh well, Dr. Robert Malone, and others who spoke out against, others who had medical degrees and PhDs and stuff, who spoke out against uh, the oppression and tyranny being imposed during this period, when the world was basically closed down. You could just say, oh well, they're not to be trusted. They're just a part of the same machine. They're just they're just controlled opposition. You can always say that about anybody. You could say it about me. I mean, you could say it about me. You could say it about you. You could say it about anybody. Uh, and if your own, but the thing is, it's not good enough just to say it. You have to. There has to be some evidence that that they are putting people on. Because if the only thing you're going to say is, well, when they take this position, they're just being controlled opposition, and they're really not trustworthy. Uh, they're really just as bad as the rest of them, and they're really, all they're doing is reading off of a script when they say when they express their apparent dissent. I mean, you it's so annoying because, uh, I mean, you can literally do that with anything. Anytime anybody is stands up against uh, uh, the machine, anytime anybody stands up against the matrix, anytime anybody stands up against the deep state, anytime anybody stands up against tyranny and oppression, um, you can just say, well, they don't really mean what they're saying. They're just being put in that position. They're just playing a role. I mean, but you've got to have more evidence for that than just to say, it's what I believe, because that's what I think they're doing. In the case of Woody Harrelson, yeah, I know his family situation. His dad was a criminal, a convicted felon, I guess, guilty of murder, and people said that he was one of the JFK assassins, and yeah, so that's that's interesting. If it's true, it's interesting to consider, but I don't get how that makes it that means that he must be all those times he consistently was saying, "This is what I believe about this." Every time he spoke out consistently in the same way on all of these occasions, because his dad was this um, dodgy customer. Therefore, I just don't. It doesn't fit. It doesn't make him what you're saying that he is. Okay, and it doesn't. There's no evidence for it. You know, the only evidence is you claiming that this is the way he is. That's not evidence at all.